us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, suspended EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Magu released from detention, set to open defense at presidential panel. Suspended NSITF Executive Director Kemi Nelson accuses Labour Minister Ngige of inserting 1.2 billion naira, 5 SUVs into 2020 budgets, as Faleke accuses him of abuse of office, calls for his removal. And later on the show, fear mounts over prohibitive cost of COVID-19 tests in private laboratory as a number of confirmed cases in Nigeria rises to 34,559 with 760 fatalities. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, while Adekunle Yusuf will be joining us via Skype. So if you're ready. Nice to have you. Some sort of reprieve has come the way of suspended acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. The embattled Magu was released from 9-day detention on Wednesday and was expected to open his defense before the presidential panel investigating him on the 22 allegations contained in a memo sent to the president by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. But it is not yet Uhuru for Magu, who has now returned to his official residence in Maitama in Abuja. Babajide, he granted an interview yesterday and he said that despite the fact of in spite of what he's facing, the Nigerians should join hands together with Mr. President, and fighting corruption is a task that must be done, whether he's in charge of EFCC or not. One. Number two, he said those allegations were just laughable, that Trump charges that is going to begin his defense.
Yes. I think he spoke wisely. If we truly want to defeat corruption, then it should not be about an individual. We should all see it as a national disease that we must purge our country of. Whether Magu is there or not, whether Magu is indicted or not, the war against corruption must go on. And I think I saw that, a bit of that in Garba Shewu's statement that was issued at the weekend, that this is not really about an individual, that the EFCC as a whole has to be looked at. I've always wanted us to look at the EFCC as a whole, see where we can improve its effectiveness in discharging its responsibilities. We've always had strong individuals to lead, but we need improvement across board. Improvement even in the quality of investigations that it does. Improvement in the way that it sources for information in terms of its own manner of intelligence gathering, because many times innocent people get picked up. They will put someone on trial without the facts needed to nail that person in court.
Detaining that person, arresting and detaining
that
person.
Yes, just detain someone and start looking for evidence. And it's one of the reasons many people have no pity for Magu, because they are saying he too has done that to
served in his own...
Imagine Magu being detained for 10 days, and many Nigerians don't see anything wrong about that, because they felt that he too had done that to people. He too had frozen people's account. He too, the EFCC that he heads, had also accused people of owning properties that didn't belong to them. You can imagine the case of a former governor that was accused of owning a filling station somewhere in the Akute area. And no matter how brain diseased a sitting governor is, if you saw that filling station, you know that there's no way a governor will go and own that kind of filling station.
As in the state, Abi?
Yes, a former state governor. In the area where our friend Adams, the head of the camera unit, lives, the road to his house is one of the worst that I've ever seen. And they are saying that the filling station there belongs to a former governor of the Southwest State. The owner eventually came out to say, no, it does not belong to me. So there are things that we need to do to improve the EFCC as a body. It's not simply about Magu. For some of us, when we say, look, investigate Magu, be fair to him, it's because anybody could be there tomorrow. It could be me who will face the same situation. And in whichever situation we find ourselves, the truth should always be our guiding principle. Now we are saying because people chose to believe falsehood, now they are being forced to apologize. This day apologized. The columnist Segun Adeniyi apologized to Magu and other people.
I goofed.
Yes, he admitted I goofed. He used that word, that I goofed. I was misled by my sources. Now you've seen even the nation apologizing to Femi Falana when they were actually quoting from News Agency of Nigeria. How can government-owned institutions, media institutions, be banding lies, outright, in fact, insane lies that you know that it's not possible for any human being who is alive, you know, to go about acquiring the quantum of money that they're even talking about.
Agency chairman.
He won't even wait until he leaves office. You understand?
To Dubai too.
Nobody is saying he's a saint. I have no evidence that he's a saint. You know, I may have known him for years. I also know that people change. But the point that I'm saying, the point that I'm making is, let there be fairness. Let there be fairness. And I want to believe that at the end of the day, Justice Salami.
No, what they set out for, it has even changed the scope of what this panel is set out for. This panel set out to probe Ibrahim Magu.
Yeah, they are not saying they are
at the end of the day,
they are suspending
they suspended 12 HODs to show you that it's...
I'm even surprised that someone like the secretary, who actually was confirmed by the Senate to occupy that position, is being suspended. And he's from the Southwest, from the South. But he's not in charge of operations. You've left him, you've suspended him, and the person who is head of operations is the one that you have now said should continue. So the person who is likely an admin person, when you are seeking to investigate what goes on, is the operations person who is largely in charge of what goes on. Who do we investigate? Who do we meet? And all that. Not the person who sits in the office. You get the point that I'm making. But that's the person that you suspended, and you've elevated the other person in an active position. Many things happen in our country these days that we just wonder what's really going on. What's the matter with us?
Adekunle Yusuf.
Yes, sir.
Now you can see what is... the panel is unraveling, the presidential panel, and Magu, after 9 days in detention, has been released.
Yeah, just like Ngige said, most of what has come out of that panel, the investigation team panel, you see that many of the things we think we have known through the media, they are not correct. Magu has said that he has not been served the copy of the allegation that, and yet you see the media reporting every day that so transpired at the proceedings. Magu said this, they confronted him with this. Believe me, I've never been a fan of Ibrahim Magu. His style of leadership in EFCC I may not like. But the way he has been treated so far, believe me, is so frightening. I don't know how the next person that will take that, that job, if at all, Ibrahim Magu is eventually sacked, I don't know how the person will be able to function properly. Let me tell you, the media trial is so terrible. Of course, that is what Ibrahim Magu did or has done to many people. They will go after big names, small names, and put everything in the media, and people will make up their mind that the person is corrupt, that the person is a thief, it's a rogue, it's everything. But at the end of the day, when they get to the trial stage, many of these things are not true. Now, Magu is now a victim of the same approach, the same tactic. Let's stop this thing once and for all. the idea of arresting people first and start looking for evidence to convict them is totally wrong. I don't know where we learned this attitude of fighting corruption from. Believe me, if you want to start fighting corruption the proper way, a big lawyer the other time said, Nigeria is not fighting corruption, that EFCC is not fighting corruption. And I said, well, I think he's making sense. He said EFCC is only recovering looted funds. The best approach for to fight corruption is to make it difficult for people to steal public funds. It is not after the crime has been committed. But in our crime here, the same way we started the EFCC under Ribadu, it's still the same approach. It is even worse now than we started under Ribadu, in the sense that most of the arrests that we make today, we just go after people, we arrest them without having evidence to try them in court. You will see EFCC detaining somebody, and they know because of the position of the law, they will go back to the court to seek, 2 more weeks, 1 more week, 1 more day, and what would they be telling the court? That they want to complete investigation. When you have not done with your investigation, why are you arresting people? Now, when we come back to Magu, I was extremely shocked when I saw his lawyer saying that up to the time he was, released yesterday, that he has never been served a copy of the allegations, is meant to react to. I think in law, how do I react to allegations when I don't know the content of the allegations? And when you look at the media, you have seen a lot, but that is not to say what is in the media is true. In our profession, my colleagues, this is a time we need to sit down and look at what we do. Are we actually doing the right thing? That somebody can just push anything in the media.
Yes. Let me pick it up let me pick it up with Jide from there, because right now the public, we hold public trust, and it's our responsibility to guide them and to guide them right. But right now, with what Adekunle Yusuf has just said, and you discover that when some people just see some things on the internet or the newspaper, you just take it home, hook, line, and sinker. Magu has been convicted. He has been done everything in the media now. We don't even. They were even recording the proceeding. I mean, they were reporting the proceeding, and the proceeding of what you weren't given access to, and you don't know what's transpired inside there. And I spoke with Wahab Shitu yesterday, and Wahab Shitu was just laughing. Any day he sees newspapers, and he will just be laughing. What's happening?
We didn't start this today. Irresponsible journalism didn't start today. I remember Nigeria's former number 2 citizen, Dia, saying that if he stepped out, once he's out of power, it will be difficult for him to believe anything he reads in newspapers. Because he was in government, and every day we see lies on the pages of newspapers. We are about to destroy the profession. All kinds of people have no business being in the profession. They are even among the leading lights. So they are not interested in the rigors of investigating. They just want to put something out there. If you are saying Magu, before you can say the Magu did not submit yearly reports, audited accounts of the EFCC. Where did you check? Where did you check? Because the National Assembly, he brought it before the National Assembly. They even praised him for the diligence with which the EFCC team did it. And here we are, claiming that for 4 years he never submitted any report. Is this just simply because you hate him? I mean, there's a limit to this. And before you even, if you were told that Magu as an individual had the guts to go and ransack the home of a former president of Nigeria, before he would do that, he has to talk to the president.
Honestly.
If you had that, couldn't you have investigated, double-checked? You understand? Because Abdul Salami is not somebody that you can just go to his house, vandalize his house, ransack his house. No. And at the end of the day, when it happened, Abdul Salami picked his call when they got to the front of his guest house and said, Magu, did you send people to come and ransack my facility? And he said, no. So they never went into the place. But a journalist still went to town to say that he ransacked the place and that the man was not happy with him. So these are, I've seen about 6 or 7 cases, 7 allegations made that are already being debunked. We've seen the Accountant General of the Federation debunk the lie that he stole interests on monies that he recovered. Money kept in TSA do not generate interest. And newspapers, prominent newspapers, mainstream newspapers carried the lie without first checking with the Accountant General of the Federation. It was after it happened that Daily Trust and Co. now went to the Accountant General of the Federation to say, did somebody loot this money? And he said, no, we don't pay interest on recovered funds. Once the courts mandate accounts to be frozen, it goes straight, the money goes straight to the CBN account, and they don't pay interest on that. So I'm happy that the Accountant General of Federation, who is the treasurer of our country, has cleared that. We need to take our profession to higher heights. At the rate we are going, we will lose the trust of Nigerians.
Public trust. Now moving on, Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, is in the eye of a raging storm. He's facing a backlash over unilateral sack of Chief Executive of the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, while lawmakers are still digging at that. A former Executive Director of NSITF, Kemi Nelson, accused Ngige of single-handedly inserting 1.2 billion naira and 5 sports utility vehicles, SUVs, into the 2020 budget. Corroborating this is a member of the House of Representatives, James Faleke, who accused the minister of abuse of office and called for his removal. Let's hear from Honorable Faleke.
We have seen in recent times, Mr. Speaker, how these ministers have abused their offices. And in this particular case, Mr. Speaker, the question that will come to our mind is, why will Minister of Labour and Employment carry out this draconian decision without following the process? One, Mr. Speaker, there is a need for this House to look at appointment of board chairmen. It says the President shall appoint. But in practice, Mr. Speaker, the ministers nominate the board chairman. And if they not have the control of that board chairman, that's exactly the issue that you raised, which I think Mr. Honorable Bejide did not respond to, that you read in the media, which we also read, that the President or through the SGF had approved. The issue was this. The agency has a board. If there's a disciplinary action required, the resolution of the board must go to the minister, from the minister to the SGF before a decision is taken. Even when the resolution of the board comes, the minister has no power to issue such letter. It is only the SGF that has the power, having taken decisions, instructions from Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister of Labour has abused his office. And if I were the President, I would get him removed immediately based on facts. The NSITF that we are talking about, they submitted the budget of NSITF to him. He single-handedly altered all the budgets, altered the figures. And when the men and women at that agency protested, he threatened to remove them. What did he do? The minister inserted a 2 billion commission project, 2 billion naira worth. He inserted 2 billion for collection, commission on collection, something that has never happened in that agency. In other words, he needed the the management and staff of that agency to, the management and the executive committee of that agency to be out of office so that he can implement that budget. What did he do, Mr. Speaker? He removed all the people who are against that decision and left it to the people who never knew about the argument between them. That is one. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we have ministers, especially this particular minister. He single-handedly nominated the contractor that bought all the vehicles, worth 305 million last year in 2019 budget. And these men, the executive members, said this 2020 they will not allow that to happen again. So the moment the budget was approved, 2020 budget, he felt that he would not have control of those things that are inserted in the budget if these people remain there. And the only way to do it is to send them away. That's the crux of the matter. That's the crux of the matter. Mr. Speaker, we are entitled to Camry cars here as our official car. A minister of the Federal Republic will be provided with his convoy of vehicle by the ministry. But Ngige, that is not enough for Ngige. He went ahead and compelled this same parastatal of NSITF to buy him an SUV, a Toyota Land Cruiser, and a Hilux in 2019. Mr. Speaker, this same minister has inserted 4 SUVs in 2020 budget, which the men and women that he decided to send away refused to say we will not implement this budget. These are the issues. Mr. Speaker, and it may also interest you, honorable colleagues, to note that he took advantage of the fact that his wife works with the head of service and got approval signed by his wife to the Ministry of Labor to appoint an insurance broker for insurance worth 100 million every year. This approval was issued, signed by his wife on the 6th of May, Mr. Speaker, to him, and he wrote approval immediately to NSITF to accept that broker on the 10th of May. What a speed of light. These are the issues. These are the issues that they want to conceal by sacking these people.
High wire politics there. I don't know. This government prides itself as the government that is fighting corruption. Yes. And all these people that I mentioned, APC people, everybody that's still within the political party. So you can have a fair idea of what we are talking about. But the bottom line is that, what has Chris Ngige said, and can you break it down for us? Why must he sack the NSITF people?
Well, clearly he wants a group of people in the board who will simply listen to him. Of course, the chairman of the board is someone who will readily listen to him. But the MD and the 3 directors that he suspended, they are clearly opposed to the ideas that he came up with. Including the
Kemi
budget
Nelson.
padding, yes, that we are talking about. So this is the crux of the matter. Remember that Ngige and the former chairman of the APC had issues, even on constitution of boards.
Yes.
That was when Adams even threatened him that if the president will not deal with some of you at the level of the party, we can deal with you. Some of the ministers, from what I'm seeing, some of the ministers in this administration are clearly becoming lords unto themselves. They are almost now like people that you can't control. And it's not a good thing that we are seeing these signs. Some people are saying, oh, it's the absence of Abba Kyari that we are feeling. Because the truth is, things didn't get this bad when he was there. That is the truth. You must give that credit to the dead man. Things didn't get this bad. That is a fact. Ngige was threatening that he would sue Faleke. Of course, a medical doctor is not a lawyer. If he were a lawyer, at least he would know that whatever they say on the floor of that house,
chamber, it cannot
you cannot take them to court. So which court do you want to take him to? Which court?
It's as simple as that.
Or are there no legal minds in the ministry who can say, Mr. Minister, you are punching above your weight? And of course, he has not got so much weight in any way. So the truth is, let's follow the due process. Ministers should not get to the point that they can simply dispense with board members. I mean, the procedure is there, and Faleke outlined it. That look, when it comes to discipline, the executive, through the SGF, will convey. You can suggest. You can suggest people to get into the board, but you don't have the power to simply sack them.
Okay, let's quickly pay this bill. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is your multi-award-winning program, Journalist Hangouts. We're reaching you from TVC News here, live from Lagos, Nigeria. And ultimately, Adekunle Yusuf, are you there? What do you make of this allegation and counter-allegation against the Minister of Labour and Productivity and Employment?
Honestly, I'm very, very happy that people are trying to speak up now. The day I read the release from the Ministry of Labour that so are suspended, I was curious because I knew something must be fishy. I think like less than 2 months ago, you will know that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, you laid out the procedure. You know, this thing had become rampant, you know, over the years that you see ministers, you know, having problem with heads of agencies under them. But this time around, the way, when I saw the release by one public relations person in the ministry, that the minister has suspended all this, the entire management of STI, I said, what? Haven't we done something about this matter, that there should be a due process? As I'm talking to you, do you know the same minister has inaugurated an investigative panel in Abuja today on this matter? This is clearly against the due process. And I believe President Muhammadu Buhari will need to do something about this matter. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who is like the person that coordinates all the ministers, they rule out a memo and they get everybody to know that you don't do this, this is the way you do. If this comes up, this is what you do. Let me tell you, the board of the suspended team came up with allegations that they have several memos and petitions from the same Dr. Ngige, you know, accusing, you know, writing petitions, and it's the same man who wrote petitions that is suspending people, that is setting up investigative panel. I think this is totally against, you know, due process. Something else needs to be done. What is the role of this SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation? In this matter, there is a need for deep investigation. Maybe the minister is not guilty of what is being said to have he has done. Maybe he is. Maybe the management team may have made some mistakes, but it's not Ngige that should investigate this. It should be another. I think the presidency needs to do something, because look at what happened in the National Health Insurance Scheme some years ago, when the head of that Nigerian National Health Insurance was having problem with the minister. You remember that time?
Yes.
It was a huge embarrassment for the it was a huge embarrassment for the government of the day. At the end of the day, you know what happened? So many other ones had happened since that time. I think the government became uncomfortable with incessant, clashes between ministers and the head of agencies under them. That must have, informed why they came up with a position that this is what to be done. If this comes up, this is what you should do. But surprisingly, Dr. Ngige, who was part of the first term of President Muhammadu Buhari, I believe he should know better. On this matter, I don't think he has followed the due process. I want to believe he has not followed the due process. And it will help everybody if the presidency can wade into this matter before it degenerates into a rough fight. I am seeing executive recklessness in this matter now.
But ultimately, now, when what can be done, the president, as usual, the box stops on his table finally, and then we're expecting through the SGF to act on this matter.
You see, some of what we are seeing now under the presidency, if it were in other countries, at least 2 or 3 ministers will have been on suspension. They will have been told to step aside, and investigation will have been instituted into the activities.
Yeah.
Look at what is
this
the mess in the NDDC.
Between Akpabio
I'm hearing the minister Akpabio saying that all those who embezzle money at the NDDC are going to be made to pay for it. You are supposed to be investigated yourself. We are not impressed by the soundbite from you. Even you. You are supposed to step aside. You've been accused.
Like Magu.
You've been accused.
Yes.
By your own people. So you ought to step aside, not telling us that you stop some people, you are going to ensure that some people are disciplined. No. And then what Ngige has been accused of, Ngige ought to step aside so that an independent body investigates what happened. And then that's when we can be sure that we'll get justice. Not when someone who is deeply involved in the rot now being the one setting up panel. What's going on in our country? What's going on? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's an independent body that should set that up. Independent body, whether instituted by the federal government, but it has to be an independent body so that we'll know whether the minister is guilty or he's not guilty. And if he's guilty, he should be put on trial for corruption. That's what happens in other countries. Nobody is too big to be tried, whether you are part of that government or not. We've seen the Israelis do it. We've seen them do it in Ukraine. We've seen them everywhere. So this is the thing.
What do you expect on the final note, Adekunle Yusuf?
What I expect is, I think many of these ministers, they are taking advantage of the style of President Muhammadu Buhari, that you may not want to dabble into it. But this one, the president needs to actually, provide leadership. This should stop. A situation whereby ministers can do anything and get away with everything. It's not good for his administration, especially one that is saying that it is fighting corruption. The president needs to, provide leadership in this matter. Okay. That's just what I want.
All right, moving on now. There's a need for Nigeria to expand its testing capacity to ensure a larger number of people have access to such facilities, while states like Lagos have factored more private laboratories into their testing strategy. Another concern has arisen, that is the cost of testing. There's growing fear over the 50,000 naira required for testing in private labs, which many Nigerians described as prohibitive. In the midst of this, the number of confirmed cases in Nigeria rose to 34,259 on Wednesday, with 760 fatalities. We don't expect an average Nigerian that can barely put food on his family table to go and test for COVID for 50,000 naira, except the government will use a government facility and they approve your testing and they carry out the tests. For these private laboratories, I think those people that can use it is those people that if you have the money, you can actually access it. But for an average Nigeria, 50,000 naira is just off the limit.
Yes, and that is why even for states is it's very expensive to manage the COVID-19 crisis. That's why it's so expensive for states, and that's why some state governors have chosen to deceive themselves that, oh, we don't have COVID-19 in my state, and all that, because they are looking at the cost. You can imagine when you have hundreds and hundreds of cases, how do you then deal with the situation? Because the cost of testing is staggering. In fact, the governor of Lagos State said that they are trying to get the private sector involved so that they can take part of that burden away from the state government. I really pity the government of Lagos State. A lot of the projects that they plan to do this year, they can't do.
They can't.
They've had to revise the budget, you know, in line with current realities. So this is the situation. And you can see countries like South Africa, where they have a huge testing capacity. Our own testing capacity is about 40 the last time I checked. Just 40 sites, 40 test sites. Whereas the South Africans have about 386. The South Africans now have about 311,049 cases, whereas we are yet to even get up to 40,000.
And we've not tested 200,000
yes,
people.
In Nigeria, we've recorded 70 deaths. In South Africa, they've recorded 4,453 deaths. So you can see that we really have a long way to go. And if we do not test sufficiently, we will never be able to know how many of our people are living with this virus, how many of our people have the virus. So I support the idea of allowing some laboratories, some hospitals to be involved, so that those who can afford it can know their status. It's just like just checking for your HIV status. I support it so that you can then go and get Medicare, because even the response time, once you do test, the response time is a lot longer now because there are many people on the queue. So during that time, when you are waiting for results, anything can happen. People have died in the process because they didn't get the report, the result. They didn't get the result. You know, they didn't get the result. They were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the situation got worse and they died. So, but government still has a lot to do. I hope that governments will succeed in getting the private sector involved in taking some of this burden off, because a lot of our people would not be able to go for this test because of the cost.
Adekunle Yusuf, 760 fatalities. That's it's moving up. It's moving up, and 34,259 confirmed established cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria.
Yeah, I would like to say something about the private laboratories. I think the Lagos State government, you know, approved like 7 private laboratories. I mean, about two weeks ago, if I remember very well. And I attended that meeting, and I think the price is 50,400 naira. Many people were shocked that how many people will be able to afford this. It's a great idea if you involve the private sector. Nigeria is not the only country that is doing that. I think they are doing that they're also doing that in South Africa. The public one is doing it. But we must find a way around who pays. If you allow the private sector to be collecting 50,400 per test, it becomes a big business. What will happen is that the facilities public facilities may no longer, because if you don't handle it very well, I know Nigeria very well, it will breed corruption. It's an avenue for people to make money. I know how much the private labs, before they were, you know, some of them were approved by the state government. I'm talking about Lagos. I know how much they were charging before. But now that you have been licensed, you have been authorized, why jacking up that price?
Okay, Adekunle, just hold on there. Now, there has been fear that very important persons, VIPs, will breach COVID-19 protocols when airports are reopened. We have had stories of former governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, disrupting COVID-19 protocols at the airports, but the former governor has denied it. He said he was never involved in such. He's joining us live from Abuja to talk more on the alleged breach of COVID-19 protocol in Abuja. Kano. Thank you, former Governor Abdulaziz Yari. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What happened at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport?
Actually, I just saw the news yesterday in the morning when the officials of FAA, that's fun, write in their tweets that I breached the protocol. I'm surprised. When I came in, I actually drove by road to attend the wedding of the Minister of Justice's son. And I got a brother who went with the aircraft, and I asked him that I want to join him back to Abuja. He said, okay, he's already in airport. If we can drop past, then from the government house, we quickly drove down to the airport. What I met at the airport is only a person who is testing the temperature. He tested my temperature, and I can't joke with them. I said, am I fit to travel? He said, the temperature is okay. And they then dropped some styler in my hands, and I walked into the airport. That's all I know. So when I just saw those news, I quickly contacted the MD. I asked him, what is going on? He said, well, he saw the report that I first and I even molest the officials of airport. I don't want my bag to be checked. I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not even holding any bag. I'm holding only my phones in my hand. So nothing like that. But my detail, who was with me, he was taking my bag, which he didn't even join the aircraft because there's no seat there. So I don't know what happened where they were talking of bags. I pushed the officials. I don't want to do the protocol. And I haven't seen anything new there. Apart from that testing of temperature and some styler, there's nothing there. Say that you passed through here, you didn't pass, or you go the other way, you didn't go. So I'm really, really disappointed when I saw that. And I even talked to the minister. I said they have to retract that, what they tweet in their Twitter, what they give to the press. So sincerely speaking, it's too disappointing, and I'm disappointed.
So with nothing like that happened.
And I told them they have to retract it back, and they have. There's absolutely nothing like that happened at the airport. Nothing. Because I'm not holding anything apart from my telephone, my handset. So why should someone just create all this kind of noise? I don't know.
This is another case of fabrication.
What I told the MD of the PAN, I said you should be careful. I hope politicians are not going to use this one to just make noise out of it. So he said he's so sorry. He will find out more, but the report, it's in my bag, and I didn't allow my bag to be checked or to be sensitized, which I haven't seen any machine that's sensitizing the bag. Apart from that, testing the thermometer tester and then the hand sensitizer. So it's a surprise. Me saying those things in the media yesterday.
Yeah. When you spoke with the minister, what did he say? Did he say that it's going to be investigated? What was the reaction?
He said he will call the MD. He called the MD. He will call the incorporated officers to ensure that they have given the correct information, and he directed them to withdraw that what they've tweeted in their Twitter. They will do it immediately. So, but what I demanded from them is for them to send apology to me, to my person, so that they can clear the air. I told him categorically that even when I'm my adolescent period, when I'm playing football, I will never get the yellow card at the field, and I never get yellow card pushing someone. So talk less of now and the elder statesman at capacity, so to push an official, an officer, whom I kept there to serve the people. So I'm surprised when I saw that.
So you didn't have any form of altercation with anybody?
I'm waiting for the minister and the MD to come back to me and confirm to me what they achieved.
Okay, you are yet to hear from them. You are still waiting to hear from them?
I'm here to hear from them.
Okay. We've seen some...
I'm still waiting for them, and...
we've seen something written by Femi Faleke on this matter. Do you plan to consult your lawyer?
Of course, absolutely. Faleke is already in Gusau now. The matter is coming from Gusau. Faleke spent 2 days in Gusau. So when I saw that, I got my people told me that Faleke just stayed in Gusau. So it's some politics that came into this matter. But in any way, we have the capacity to handle that one, and the Faleke will pay for his what he was paid. I believe what he was paid will not be able to save him what he's going to pay more on this what I'm going to claim as damage.
Okay.
Because he has said so many things irrelevant to what we're doing here. Number one, the event, what happened is in Kano, and in the government of APC, which is not a member, and he has nothing, absolutely nothing to involve himself into, if not he's being sponsored by people that want to see Abdulaziz painted black. But I don't think they can get that. They have tried their best for over 1 year to find something that they can dent me on corruption, on this, on that, on my situation in Zamfara State, they could not find. So whatever they find, no matter how little it is, they will pay the reckless people like him to come and start making noise about it. But for sure, I've already handed over everything to my lawyers, and then we meet at the appropriate place where the justice will be done. So, but unfortunately,
we want to thank you.
Not everything that is politics, and it's not everything that can play politics and succeed on it.
Former governor of Zamfara State, yes, Abdulaziz Yari, thank you for your time. Yes, former chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, and I don't know, Jude, this is still what we are talking about, fabrication.
It's shameful. This is the season. It's the season. It's the season. These days, when you read something, you don't know what to believe. It's just like in football these days. When you score a goal, you first wait to see what VAR will say before you. You first wait to see what VAR will say before you jubilate. Because I've seen people jubilate like mad people, only for VAR to say, no, it's not a goal. Overruled. And then they come back, they say, no, it's not a goal. So the coach of Liverpool said, these days, when they score a goal, he holds his emotions in check because he's not sure that they will not say it is not a goal. You know? So this is the thing. When we read newspapers these days, we don't know who to believe. He was not carrying a luggage, and they said it was because they wanted to fumigate his luggage that he flared up and beat up the fan.
Perhaps his aides couldn't even enter the private jet.
He didn't enter the private jet. No space.
9-seater, 11-seater.
Yes, that one had to come by road. That's the thing. It was strange to me that Yari would beat up someone, you know. But look at what happened. Look at what happened. So we just have to be careful. Because as press people, I know some people will have carried the story without even knowing that
copy and paste.
It's false, yes.
Wow. Adekule Yusuf. Still on the same matter.
That is fake news for you, and we are all losers when it comes to fake news. The media is losing its integrity, so, you know, in a way that I don't know what will happen to the industry in the next few years if something drastic is not done, you know. And do you know the funniest thing to me these days? The news agency of Nigeria.
Government institution.
You see report there. Yes, you will see report there, and you'll be shocked. Especially the Magu matter that we just analyzed. There were many lies. There were many lies about Magu. And do you know during that time,
people pay to them to give them stories. So you pay for lies. That's what is happening. You pay the news agency of Nigeria to subscribe. Yes. Media houses pay a lot of money, you know, especially the print media. So it means now that even what you are paying for, you can't be sure it's not lies.
That will not even
put you in trouble. Because the
trouble.
story that the Nation ran about Femi Falana was from News Agency of Nigeria.
Wow.
So Femi Falana just went after the Nation and they were forced to apologize. Because he said he will go to court. There's no emotions about this. He will say we are members of the same family. No, he said he will go to court.
It was one of the few credible sources we used to have those days.
So they have to say, to apologize. In those days, if you now said something, you can be sure that yes, it is 100% correct. But with the Magu affair, we have seen that that is not true. The NTA and the...
I don't know. I don't even know the person running now. I don't know. It's
no, I know that Bayo Nonoga was there.
He left.
He left. Under Bayo Nonoga, this would never have happened. I can vouch for him. You know, he's in my view, the best editor of his generation. There's no way this will happen. And if you are his staff, you do that, make that kind of mistake, he will sack you. So this is it. But now you are seeing what is going on. It's really dangerous. Ayo, if you remember, most of the newspapers in the US, they projected that Trump will lose the election. Yeah. After the election, when Trump lost, when Trump now won the election, what's his name on Farid Zakaria now did a special. He said, how did we lose the trust of the people? That can the people still trust us when all of us goofed in this manner? Oh, he's going to lose by a wide margin. And he won 30 out of 50 states.
Unbelievable. Quite unbelievable. Adekunle Yusuf, thank you. Thank you for your contribution today. Kole is laughing.
He's a Trump man. He's a Trump man.
Come November, we know what will happen.
No, he actually predicted that Trump will win that election.
Okay.
He predicted in 2016. Yeah. So I was waiting, and then it happened. I called him. I said, you said Trump will win, and Trump has won.
Thank you. Thank you for today. And that's our offering. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program, and also watch Journalists Hangout on our platform showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/CVT News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist